Okay, what is somatic awareness training? The word somatic comes from the Greek word soma, which means the body in its lived experiential wholeness, different from the word sa, means more like a hunk of meat. So the essential idea here is the body is a key part of who we are. It's the subjective experience of the body. Sometimes somatic is used as a synonym with the word embodiment, what I'm probably most associated with. We have a somatic approach to coaching. I train coaches to work with the body. It's to notice sensations in the body and to be able to work with that. There are a number of traditional schools around this. This comes from different roots. I must say Feldenkrais. The Feldenkrais technique is awareness through movement lessons. The Alexander technique, originally from Tasmania, Australia, definitely founders of this. A lot of these guys met in Esalen Institute in California. Feldenkrais was there, and it combined sort of psychotherapeutic techniques mixing with Eastern practices. So there's some sort of a controversy. Is this all just Asian mindfulness? I would say no, it's a mix of Asian mindfulness mixed in with often Western practices, which may have been coming from theatre. There was a bunch of different, actually mostly women coming out of 20s and 30s Germany who had a bunch of somatic practices that were well worth looking up. Wilhelm Reich, who was actually a student of Freud, who was the founder of body therapy, could be said to be associated with this. Alexander Lowen, who's sometimes described as a neo-Reichian, another one of the people involved in this. Elsa Gindler, Charlotte Selver, two sort of pioneers in this field. I'm going to be missing people out. Martha Eddy, wonderful modern somatics practitioner, someone I know personally, lovely lady, has a book on the history with many, many more people in than this. I think a key idea here is somatic awareness is a skill. So you'll actually see children, they might have some somatic skills, but they're actually quite unbody aware in some ways, and learning to pay attention, to have consistent attention in the body. In my book on embodied meditation, I talk about having more detailed, more deep, and more consistent body awareness. So aware of more of the body, more deeply, in more detail, more of the time. You could put it in 4 things if you wanted. For me, that's the essence of somatic training. For some people, somatic awareness is just about the awareness, so more like mindfulness. For other people, it might include changing one's state. I sometimes talk about awareness and choice. This is a key model in our coaching schools. That somatic awareness kind of, yes, one's being aware, but it's also about having some ability to change oneself. There's various other practices, of course, yoga, conscious dance, breath work, maybe even improv comedy that intersect with somatic awareness. These may be influenced by, the somatic awareness practices, or you could think of them as somatic awareness practices in their own right, whether it's a sort of awareness of tantra in a sensuality or in a comedic kind of theatre sense. These are different elements, and I think each bring a different flavor to the somatic awareness field. Key thing is many, many kind of claims, indigenous traditions, Asian, Western, theatre, martial arts, like Aikido, we could say is a somatic awareness practice. No one knows all of them. Often there's some sort of hustling about, competition between them or claims, this is the OG. In some ways, I think somatic awareness practice is as old as humanity, like indigenous traditions and the like. However, there's no doubt that there was this particular flourishing on the west coast of America. You'll also see it coming out of Berlin, that World War II interrupted that. It's back in Berlin in a big way now. So I think we can say that there are these sort of flourishings and traditions that come throughout the years. It's also hard to know. Certain cultures, like, for example, France has some somatic awareness practices, but because of the language, because of the nature of French culture, they're quite detailed and some quite in-depth ones. And some of them I hadn't heard of till quite recently. I was like, oh, I've never heard of that, even though this is my field. So things can also exist in isolation and be reinvented in different times and places. Okay, what are some of the benefits? Now, it's so broad, right? Somatic awareness could be used to make a dancer more beautiful, right? I know dancers who do Feldenkrais for that reason. I think for a lot of people, it's just relaxation. It's a healthy, for one's physical health, for one's mental health. It's a relaxing thing. You have to be aware of tension in your body to let go of the tension. Yeah. So for a lot of people, there's health benefits. It can be looked at as a health practice. For some people, it's to enhance their acting. For martial artists, it's just about being a better fighter. I think there is a case to be made that it is an end in itself, to be more human, to be more embodied, to be more in oneself. This is, I think, a good in and of itself. Obviously, in the modern era, the narrative of trauma has been very strong. And I think trauma awareness is super, super key here. It's trauma, like the trauma field without somatic awareness, it doesn't really make sense as a field. So yeah, I think that's a very modern perspective, but one that's super helpful. You'll see other applications, men's work, women's work, more political activism. There's all sorts of elements to it. Sometimes I think too political these days. But basically, somatic awareness, there's loads of forms of it. It's all good. I just encourage anyone watching this to try something. If nothing else, you'll find it's probably pretty chill and good for you. So check it out.